Hello, RP viewers. It's Tetsu doing a little impromptu live this early evening. How are you? So, Trump, of course, has struck an airfield in Syria last night. I've been gauging the reaction from my friends here at Real Progressives, colleagues of mine who work with me on the team, and also looking at the response from progressives all around. Um, some of my friends, Debbie the Same Progressive, completely outraged. And we see the response of Bernie Sanders, who actually tweeted today that he believes that Assad had indeed gassed his own citizens in a small town in Idlib province. So where does that leave us? Trump also obviously has bought into the theory that people in Syria were gassed by Assad. Now, many of us know that that is in fact not true. How do we know this? From the 2013 gas attack in Ghouta, where it was initially reported that Assad was responsible for this attack on his own citizens. But as events turned out, and of course that represented, as we know, the red line for Barack Obama to go in and invade Syria. But he never did that. And why is that? And it's because it wasn't reported widely in the media, but I'm just going to grab my phone. Excuse me. It was reported in the media. It was researched by people at the United Nations that, in fact, the sarin gas in question did not come from Assad's forces, and in fact was held by rebels. And if we look at Seymour Hersh, his work, and other respected researchers in the field, we find out, and it's in WikiLeaks as well, that the sarin gas was from Libya. After the fall of Libya, the United States was in possession of chemical weapons from the Gaddafi regime, and thus began the rat line, shipping armaments, weapons of mass destruction from Libya to Syria. All of this, of course, carefully orchestrated by Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. Now, I wanted to kind of stress to the viewers, I believe there is a strategy today to prevent blood on our hands. We know that the war, no matter what happens, whether Trump has gone in, so to speak, that the war continues unabated in Syria. And I believe that Donald Trump is an incompetent person as president. That's it's kind of a true blue statement, but it rings true. He does not have any kind of ideology that is recognizable. In this regards, he is almost childlike. The people that he surrounds himself with, of course, are extremely dangerous people. Whether we're talking about Mike Flynn, who's not in anymore, of course, to Steve Bannon, who has very strange fantasies, if you've seen any of his movies, about a mostly white Christian America under attack from the entire world. And this is the ideology of a Steve Bannon, who fantasizes that our American culture has been and always will be under siege. Steve Bannon is a warmonger. Ever since, and if you look at something like Abby Martin's Empire Files exposing Steve Bannon, you'll get a good picture on who this person is. This person, ever since his Navy officer days, has always lusted for war, not in a way that we're used to, like Dick Cheney, like other warmongers who do it for purely for profit. Steve Bannon actually loves the activity of war, and this is a very strange kind of ideology, but that is who he is, and so that is how we get to today. The day before, Steve Bannon was somewhat demoted, and so when Trump's advisors, when the intelligence state apparatus, when security services, when advisors, politicians, and the media, who does not question the narrative, does not even present the real facts of 2013 and the Ghouta gas attack, when they gleefully take questions from Sean Spicer, or actually accept his responses to their weak questions, dare not challenge the narrative, when they should know that the reports have been out since 2014 that Ghouta was in fact the sarin gas was in possession by the rebels. They're not doing their job. They're not challenging Sean Spicer. They're not challenging Donald Trump. I had this thought that if just one journalist in the press club were to dare to ask Spicer or Trump, hey, do you guys know that in 2013 it's been pretty much proven that the chemical weapons were not in possession by Assad, but in fact by the rebels who were armed by the Barack Obama administration. Do you know that, Sean Spicer? Do you know that, Donald Trump? But they don't ask that question, right? So this is what happens. We have a repeat of it in 2017. Additionally, what it did not mention before is that after 2013, why did not Obama go into Syria? I mean, the CIA is there, but with boots on the ground, with our traditional military forces. The reason why is because they kind of worked out a deal. No matter who was responsible, it was decided, between Russia, the United States, and Syria, that Assad would give up any of his chemical weapon stockpile, whatever it was. So, in fact, his chemical weapons stockpile was depleted. Do you think that Assad is going to, rebuild his chemical weapon infrastructure? Now, very sadly, I don't know what is going on with Bernie Sanders. And Bernie Sanders is apparently someone who does not read news. He does not inform himself, or he does not have good advisors. There is no alternate 2 steps forward kind of thinking on this matter. Either you believe the lie or you're uninformed. Those are the only 2 reasonable ways to approach Bernie's own narrative on this issue. And so it gets me finally to the story of Eurydice. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it. So there is this Greek mythology of the wife of Orpheus. And Orpheus was the greatest musician of all time. He lost his wife, I'm just going to say Eurydice, to a snake bite. and she died, and she went to hell. Orpheus descended into hell, faced Hades, and made a deal with Hades for his wife to come back to Earth. And so the deal was, you can have Eurydice back, but Orpheus, you must not turn around. If you turn around before you get out of hell, she will go back. She will be trapped with me in hell forever. So it's kind of a parable of faith and not looking back, to persevere. And when you make a deal, even with the devil, you stick to that deal, and you do not falter. So, of course, in this Greek myth, Orpheus turns around, and as he turns around, he sees his wife for the second time fade away and descend into hell forever. Of course, Orpheus is inconsolable. So where am I getting at with this tale, and why does this pop into my mind? I'm not trying to ape Chris Hedges or anything like that, trying to pull classics out of my ass, but I only know this story because I actually, there is a product called Orpheus made by a stereo company. It's actually one of the most renowned headphones in the world ever made. So I looked it up one time. That's how I know it. I don't study Greek classics. But I do find the myth an analogy to Bernie Sanders, and that Bernie Sanders is Orpheus. He keeps looking back. He keeps faltering in his pact with the devil. If Hades is the Democratic Party, he keeps making deals with them, and he keeps looking back. And every time Bernie Sanders looks back, one of us perishes. More of us perish. More of us leave the Democratic Party, the progressive. We leave the Bernie, not movement, but moment, right? Chris Hedges, a person who can pull classics out of his ass at will, termed Occupy Wall Street as a moment, not a movement. And so is the same he categorized for Bernie's election campaign. So if Bernie is someone who keeps looking back and loses more and more of us to slave away in a hell, a hell that he keeps making a deal with, then we need to leave him. It's that clear. So where does that leave us? We must be the movement that Bernie Sanders was not capable of being. And that's a very difficult task. It's a monumental one in a lot of regards. How can a band of small community of progressives come together and raise as much noise and movement as Bernie Sanders did last year? It's a very good question, and I don't have an answer today. All I know is that whether you love Bernie Sanders, are crying at once again is this one last glance back into hell that blows us into a million pieces of dust, to be scattered amongst in burning in hell. It doesn't matter. We have to gather what we have. We have to be the movement that Bernie is not capable of. Put aside the infighting, whether Bernie's a good guy, Bernie's a bad guy, Bernie's a brilliant strategician, Bernie's this, Bernie's that. It doesn't matter. give Bernie credit where it's due. Support his student tuition bill, support his single payer bill, but don't count on him to come around, leave the Democrats, and lead us out of this misery. I mean, if it's great if it's happened. I know Nick Brana somewhat. I've met him once. I support his his campaign to draft Bernie for a People's Party. We here at RP support all kinds of initiatives to raise awareness and momentum for the progressive movement. So personally, I have my own thoughts in the matter. It doesn't really matter. I'm not here to proselytize on what I believe personally. Just keep going. Do what you do. Do not despair. I've told some of my friends today, cry if you must at this betrayal, at seeing Eurydice fade away as Bernie looks back once again like Orpheus. But keep walking, right? We are in the political wilderness, as Chris Hedges describes. We are small in number, we are cold, we are tired, we are hungry, but we keep walking around. The wolves surround us and take us out. There are wolves among us who bite at our heels when we least expect it. But if we keep moving forward, keep enlightening others, spreading the message, not just within the progressive community, but to conservatives, to the middle of America. This is really what's necessary. And as far as actions today are concerned, do tweet Donald Trump. Twitter is, it occurred to me while I was driving. I guess I have a lot of thoughts while I drive. Twitter is Donald Trump's favorite medium. Therefore, you should tweet him. You should just tweet him with a very simple message. Hey, real Donald Trump, do you understand that your advisors are lying to you? Do you know that the 2013 Ghouta attack, the 2017 Idlib attack, that sarin was provided to the rebels by number 44, Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton? Just tweet that to him. You can tweet it to Joe Scarborough. You may not know this, but Donald Trump only follows about 35 people on Twitter. And the closest thing you have to a liberal is Joe Scarborough, of Morning Joe. Joe, of course, is a Republican. But the closest thing we have to fair and balanced on morning television. So tweet Joe Scarborough. Maybe Joe Scarborough will tweet some sense into Donald Trump. Correct the record on Bernie Sanders. I find it. It's a shake my head moment. It's like, Bernie, do you actually read anything but the morning news? Do you not have time to look at actual scholarly work on the issues that you're talking about? Apparently not. Apparently you cannot even find the time to listen to somebody who actually knows about these issues. Again, there is no alternate strategy or master plan around this. A lot of us were sorely disappointed when Bernie kept going on to the DNC. We all thought, not me, that he had some superior alternative motive or plan. So, but he didn't. He lost. He allowed himself to lose. It was almost like seeing someone run for office for the first time and, being a noob and living with the results. So maybe Bernie Sanders is not as sophisticated as you think. That's all. So this is really ironic, but I think today, there's a rally in New York City. One of our members might be out there covering it now. I'll clear the air, so if she gets on live, then we can all watch it together. Debbie the Saint Progressive is calling for direct action, and I'm sure she'll, find an opportunity to organize around that. Ironically, I'm just calling for slacktivism. Just get out your phone, tweet at Real Donald Trump, and let him know that he's being lied to. You might find that kind of interesting, right? So that's all. Should I review the comments? Okay, from the top. Chris Hedges also points out that Bernie has not fought against the military-industrial complex. He does have a record of voting. He does not have a record of voting against military spending. That's correct. He also voted for the reauthorizations for the military budgets for the Iraq War, right? So some of us are countering that we as a movement are huge, and yeah, I mean, we're definitely bigger than we ever were, and that's hopeful. Perhaps I'm just kind of not cynical, but very realistic in the size and influence and where we are. I think last week was kind of a wake-up call for us progressives. Kenneth Mejia placed fourth or so, a distant fourth in LA. And where is Sherry Honkala? Someone who I personally interviewed. Sherry Honkala is in court. She is suing for election fraud. Again, an issue that does not get brought up enough. Credit to, again, I guess I'm giving props to Debbie a lot today, but she worked tirelessly last year on the issue, and it's a sad tale to see. Now, Sherry only needed 1,500 votes, 1,500 votes to win. But she's going to be tied up for months in court cases, right? All right. That's putting it lightly. Okay. Love the sane progressives. Juma, yes. Well, I think that's about all. Can I scroll up more? Yeah. I wish the independent party would work, but we are far from that whisper of a dream. Okay. Maybe I will get a little bit into what I personally think, since I am on this soapbox. I am of the opinion that party doesn't matter, and it speaks a little bit to the show that I created here on RP called Our Election, which my friend John Lancelot hosts mostly. And I conceive that as a concept, a vehicle to highlight the personal face and campaigns and stories of ordinary people, average people like you and I, who've taken upon it to run for office, no matter what their background, experience, or expertise may be. So I really want to, with the show, transform our stereotype or archetype, that preconceived archetype that most people have of a politician, of someone who wears a suit or a pantsuit, freshly laundered shirt, and very cliche kind of tie with a conventional haircut. Why do these these actors have to dress in such costume? I don't understand. Most people, even within the most conservative types industries, don't dress like this anymore. People, who work at multi-million VC firms don't dress like that. People don't dress like that for church. So I'm getting a little sidetracked, but well, what I'm learning from our election is that we have people from all kinds of political party affiliations. Some have none. Some are independent. Some are progressives, primarying Republican challengers, Democratic challengers. Some go with Green. It really doesn't matter. And actually, as it turns out, the situation becomes very local and kind of dependent where you are. You may find that you're in a heavily Democratic area, and thus you may assess your probability of success is going to be greatest within the Democratic Party. But what if the Democratic Party is a very well-oiled machine where you live? What if you never get in the door? And I think that is kind of the story of someone like Dan Roll, who ran for Congress in Nevada. He ran against the wishes of Harry Reid, and he was crushed. Now, is that being realistic, or did Dan have any opportunities to run as an independent? I mean, it's not about the greatest probability to win. It's the greatest probability of, like, what percentage could I possibly achieve in the election. Now, while that sounds a little self-defeating, that's kind of what it takes. I mean, that's step number one. And so, I don't know. Party just doesn't matter anymore. It really doesn't. On the local level, especially in congressional districts, it's a case-by-case analysis as to who should run for what and with what party, or not, or no party. So that's my personal feelings on the matter. All that despite, I support other initiatives. You want to try and take over the Democratic Party? I don't think that's going to be very successful either. And you may think that my strategy for just having a broad base coalition of all kinds of candidates, of all kinds of parties, may be foolish as well. Agree to disagree. You do your thing, I do my thing. Let's not say anything bad about each other, and just all keep moving forward, right? Let's cross promote whenever possible. Let's do media events together. Let's have conversations when there are national events. I don't have anything bad to say about anyone, quite frankly, and who works in this movement, unless it's some serious personal thing that no one needs to hear about. All right, so do your mad tweeting thing. Be Donald Trump for a few moments and let him know that the gas attacks are actually not Assad. That is just on record at the UN and other places. Thanks for listening, and I'm going to roll out.